Yesterday was day 30 of the Karen Read trial. I'm gonna give you my daily recap. It's coming a day behind because I was super busy yesterday. I'm also gonna do this while I'm getting ready for the day, so just bear with me. So it's day 30. We have Dr. LaPosada still on the stand. She starts off being shown the back of Karen Read's vehicle. She says the injury that is on John O'Keefe's eye, which was the laceration he had, would not have happened from the rear wing spoiler of the vehicle. It's not consistent with that type of injury. She then starts talking about the brain injury. We don't see the photos of the brain, obviously. She explains what happened with the brainstem and how the swelling led down into the brainstem, which ultimately led to too much swelling there, and that would affect the heart and the breathing. And she says this causes death. At this point, he would have been unable to do any purposeful activity. He would have been completely unconscious. His brain would continue to swell, the heart and breathing would stop. Within 15 to 20 minutes, he could be dead. She's asked about what kind of patterns would he have sustained if he fell back into dirt or like hard ground, and what would that pattern look like? And she says that falling on the ground would not cause the pattern that John O'Keefe had on the back of the head. Specific to the grass, she says you would see a pattern that would be like crisscross with, Dr. LaPosada is asked about the injury. Would that be consistent with falling on the hard ground or the grass or dirt? And she says the injuries that he had were not consistent with that. She would have seen some crisscross type pattern that would be from the blades of grass. She believes that the surface that John O'Keefe fell on had ridges on it. So there's a few objections about pictures. She's asked if she's seen pictures of the scene. There were no pictures where John O'Keefe was exactly, but there were pictures. They start getting into hypothermia. She said this was not consistent with hypothermia because we know that once his body got to the hospital at 6:30-ish a.m., his body temp was 80 degrees. She's then shown pictures of the lining of John O'Keefe's stomach. These are Wisniewski ulcers, which is the medical diagnosis of hypothermia. It's when the stomach lining gets so cold and shows a pattern of small dots. She states that he did not die from hypothermia. That is her ultimate conclusion. The pattern in the stomach lining with the increased redness, she says is from the Lucas machine, which I took a picture of it, but it is the machine that emulates doing chest compressions. And she says they used that machine for about 30 minutes on him in the ambulance and getting to the hospital, and that would have caused those wounds. So then she's asked about the wounds to the right arm. She says that those happened before he died, and we get into all the expert opinions on that. There's a lot of objections. Eventually, she says that the injuries to his arm were caused by animal teeth. I think she says canines. So it's confusing if it was like canine teeth or dog, but he died solely by the injury to the back of his head. Okay, Hank Brennan gets into his cross-examination, and he is asking a lot of questions about her doing specific brain life-saving measures. And she's like, I'm a forensic pathologist. I just see dead people. Like, I don't take care of any patients. She reviewed the report, but she's not a brain surgeon. And he does this all the time where he wastes so much time on it, but maybe it's effective for him. He wants to know about the force that would have had to cause John O'Keefe's brain injury for him to die. And she says that was medium to large if she had to guesstimate. And that's what her conclusions are based on the report. She knows that after the amount of force, he died within about a 15-minute window. She can tell from all of the skull fractures that he had and the swelling of the brain. So we learned a few experts back about raccoon eyes. She said that could start within minutes. The heart is pumping and the blood comes into these small orbital bones, and that creates small fractures and the blood leaks through there, and it's called periorbital ecchymosis, I believe. So the Commonwealth expert, Dr. Wolf, testified about the autopsy. He said that could take up to days, maybe hours, but she says that can happen right away. Brennan asked if she sees the area where John O'Keefe moved, which was interesting of him to say, but she says she saw the general area. Like I said before, there were no photos of John O'Keefe laying in the grass, but she did see the pictures of that area. He wants to know, can the frozen ground cause the skull fracture? She says that yes, it could. And he wants to know if this could be because of that pattern could be because of the baseball hat he was wearing, and she says it could be. He says, do you agree that brain is really soft like tofu? And she was like, oh, gross. Like, what do you mean? And she does say it is soft. So eventually we switch gears back over to John's wound. She is testifying that she sees about 6 to 7 different punctures in his arm, but she does not believe those are caused by broken glass or plastic. She says it would cause an array of intricate patterns, which is more inconsistent with what John O'Keefe had in his photos. So that was interesting. He asked, when you consider differential diagnosis, did you look at the vehicle? This was like the highlight of the day. She says, I didn't look at any of the DNA on the vehicle. He wants to know, did you look at the debris field? She goes, I know there were photos of this, but it wasn't relative to what the cause was, because he was not hit by a vehicle. And it was kind of like a mic drop moment in the court too. He wants to know, did you take a look at the back of his pants? And she said he did have blood on the back of his pants because he was on the hospital gurney and bled, and some of it came down. She didn't look at the black box of the Lexus at all because she knows, like, based on John's injuries, he was not hit by a vehicle. So he says, wait, you didn't consider how fast the vehicle was going? And she says again, whether the SUV was going slow or fast was not relevant because John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. I did read something from the courtroom that a lot of jurors smiled at this point. The other thing that he goes into next was, did you read or watch any of the defendant's statements? And she says she did hear some of them. She doesn't say which ones, but she considered them too. And he says, is it your opinion he did not move after 12:32 a.m.? She said she can't tell about what time it was, but after the injury was sustained, he could not carry out any purposeful movement. And then we go to the lunch break. So while the court is on lunch break, Brennan has some things he wants to argue, and it is specific to Dr. LaPosada's work that she had done as a chief medical examiner in the state of Rhode Island. There was some audit, I guess she left in 2005. The earlier testimony, she said, was she was questioned about the nightclub fire in Rhode Island. So during her time as chief medical examiner, that happened. There were 100 autopsies, and there's just like a lot of back and forth on if she was supposed to, go to the scene. But a medical examiner typically has their own investigator, and they don't go to the scene on their own. So Brennan is bringing up what led to her to step down. Apparently there were 1,500 autopsies that were delayed and incomplete reports, and that happened in 2005. The judge is going to allow that questioning in. So they come back. They're still on break. And the Commonwealth now is arguing a motion about limiting Dr. Rentschler's testimony. Ms. Little argues this. She says he changed his report based on Dr. Judson Welcher's report. So she has the specific slides they show. The judge wants to know why they need to see the presentation and read the text, and Attorney Little is arguing this, and she says, this is gonna help assist the jury. It will make it go smoother and quicker, and that's what everybody wants. I'm done with my makeup. I'm gonna go get dressed, and then I'm gonna film part 2 for you guys, so come right back for that.